All right, so today I want to talk about how I sort of backed into a calculation that pretty much matched the 2021 Bitcoin cycle peak. And what my intention really was not to try and predict the peak. I was trying to figure out a conservative exit point during the bull run to take a little bit off the table. So I went through some of the previous cycle peaks and I studied them a little bit and just came up with a methodology that I thought could be used to try and figure out a good exit point. And so I'm going to take you through my calculation today. So these are the factors that I used. Like I said, I went through the prior cycle peaks. And what I did was I calculated a multiple from one peak to the next. So I did basically some division and came up with a factor value. And then my next thought was, well, I think that over time the having effect's going to lessen over time. So, and I'm thinking it's the minimal amount it's going to lessen is probably going to be by a factor of two because that's what the halving is all about. It just basically keeps dividing in half the block reward for the miners. But to be conservative, I basically doubled that lessening effect. And then I also applied an 80% factor to that value to allow for getting out before the herd. Because what I saw in the earlier peaks was that there was a mad rush for the exits, and that applied a lot of pressure onto all of the exchanges, resulting in basically gridlock. People couldn't get on, some of the exchanges went down, and there was all kinds of problems. So I wanted to try and have something in effect that would help me avoid that. And I figured if I took action just a little bit before all that, it might allow for that. Okay, so now let's look at the numbers. So we got in 2013, I had a cycle peak of $1,128. And in the 2017 cycle peak, I got a value of 19,641. So what I did was I just divided the 2017 peak by the 2013 peak. So that's 19,641 divided by 1128. And I got a value of 17.41. So that's how high it went in comparison. This is 17.41 times this number. And then I said, okay, I expect the halving to have a lessening effect by at least 50%. So I took this number and I divided by 2, and I got 8.706. And then I wanted to be super conservative and divide in half again. So I got 8.706 divided by 2, which gave me a 4.353 factor value. And then, like I said, I wanted it to allow a little bit of cushion to be able to get out before things went crazy. I wasn't trying to get the top, so I said, let's just apply another factor of 80%. So 80% of 4.345 comes to 3.482. So that's the calculated multiple factor from the prior peak that I arrived at. All right, now we're ready for the actual calculation. All we need to do is apply the factor of 3.482 times the prior peak from 2017, which was 19,641. And the calculation comes to 68,398, which is only about $325 away from the actual peak. Now, again, I wasn't trying to come up with a calculation for the peak. I was trying to come up with a calculation for a good, safe exit point. But I'm really amazed at how close this was. And I compare it to all the experts out there that were throwing out all kinds of crazy numbers. And here I am, little old me, with something that comes $325 away. Kind of amazing. So that's why I figured I'd share it in the video. So, what actions did I take? Well, as you can see, this slide is empty. That means I didn't take any actions. I as I was watching the price appreciation of Bitcoin through 2021, and these calculations I did were early 2021, before the first market peak, and I never did see that big blow off top like we had in 2017. It was more of a gradual ascension of the price. So that gave me a little less confidence that what uh, what I had calculated was going to be right. My original thought was that I would take maybe my original investment off the table, and then I backed off and said, maybe 10% that I would take off the table, and then I never wound up taking anything off, partially because of all of the crazy predictions I kept seeing, and I thought, well, a lot of these people probably have a lot more experience with this than myself, so I think I might put a little more stake into what they're saying than what I've got here with this primitive calculation. But it's pretty amazing that it came so close. So that's it. I appreciate you guys watching and listening. I hope that it was somewhat interesting for you to follow along. Please like the video if you liked it and consider subscribing to the channel. And if you have comments, please send them. And of course, if you have questions, please send those. Talk to you later, guys.